On today's show, we look back at what defined hockey card collecting in the year 2024, and we look ahead to what's in store for year 2025. This is episode 34 of the Hockey Card Haven podcast. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome. This is episode 34 of the Hockey Card Haven podcast, powered by Slab Sharks, with myself, Mike Distefano, and my co-host, Anthony Santini. We're a weekly Wednesday show diving deep into the world of hockey card collecting, flipping, and investing. You can find us up on YouTube and also on Spotify for you on-the-go listeners. I guess it's not Wednesday today. We had to push the show back. The holidays get busy for everybody. I know that I've enjoyed the last couple of weeks, but I'm back and ready to get going in 2025 when it comes to getting back into the hobby I love, the hobby you love. And 2025 is going to be a great year in the sports card world, Anthony, don't you think?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I feel like me personally, I haven't really looked at cards too much since the Expo almost. It feels like that weekend really tired me out. Like I just kind of went to a couple shows, bought some stuff, but with the Canada Post strike happening,
Yeah.
it kind of tuned me off to really being invested into what was going on in the hobby so much, and buying, posting story sales, doing Instagram lives, anything of that nature. So I think for the start of this year, that's one of my first new year, new me things that I really want to do is do more Instagram lives, because I think that you could do a lot of sales on there too, even if it's not just story posts. So that's one thing I'm definitely looking at.
Like claim sales or
Just kind
auctions?
of like going through some cards, maybe auctions if you really have a lot of people in the lives. Like I've seen Relics, they used to do like Tuesday night auctions. I always thought those were fun. That was around 2 years ago. But I mean, even just kind of flipping through cards, talking hockey, things like that.
Yeah, no, that seems like a lot of fun. And definitely you grow a community, and that could be a good time and a good way to spend one night of the week. That's for sure. Before we start to look too far ahead into 2025, I think it'd be fun for us to kind of look back on the year that was 2024 really quickly, because it was an interesting one, right? Like if I had to ask you, what do you define the hockey card collecting community in 2024, what would you say?
I mean, if it were to be like a one-word response, I'd probably have just roller coaster, because that's what it felt like at some points. Card prices going up, card prices coming down. The strike happens, prices go down. The strike goes off, prices go up. The playoffs are
That
happening,
happens that
prices
happens
are up.
every year, though. That happens every year. You could define that as every single year. Like in 2023, there was a roller coaster. 2022, 2021 was an insane roller coaster that went to new
Crazy.
heights. Yeah, that was wild. It's like there's a roller coaster every year. That's just the bump and grind of the season, going with the schedule and the calendar and whatnot. But to me, like I look at 2024, it's defined by Bedard Palooza, brother. Like that's what I will always remember 2024 as, and the craziness that ensued when Connor Bedard's cards started to hit the market. I mean, the prices were absolutely absurd to start right out of the gate. People are paying $1,500 for a raw Bedard Young Guns. His PSA 10s, I think we're going, the first sale was like $5K for like the first initial sale or something like that. There was the $1 million bounty that was on the gold 1 of 1 gold outburst Young Guns. That interestingly, like you noticed a couple weeks ago, by the way, David Adams pulled the bounty. I don't think we've had a chance to talk about it on the podcast yet. This might be the time to give our thoughts on it. But yeah, the $1 million bounty, in case anybody wasn't aware and didn't see that news. Yeah, David Adams pulled the bounty. Now, they didn't exactly say why. There was no follow-up. So it was just kind of taken off of the website. And look, the bounty was subject to change at any point, I suppose. But it's interesting. It wasn't even up there for more than a year, and I hadn't heard of anyone cashing in on the bounty. Possibly it could have been done quietly so that they got their $1 million and went about their merry way. But it may have just been flat out pulled by David Adams. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that.
It could have even been there's a bunch of scenarios that could have happened. The first thing that came to my mind when I first read into that it was canceled was, all right, maybe with Bedard's play and the little drop in price, maybe they don't think that his market for the 101 is even near the $1 million price point that they originally had it at when they
It
first
never
released it.
was. It
I
never
mean,
was.
it was always inflated. It was just a matter of getting their hands on it. I think that really was the premium to the price of it.
It's a marketing ploy too, I think, to sell a lot of boxes to make sure that
Yeah.
this stuff was flying off the shelves at 400, $350 a box.
And it probably was too. It probably was. The only thing that really started to, I was kind of thinking was maybe, maybe it got pulled, like you mentioned. Maybe they already had a discussion with someone that pulled it. And this person, this individual said, look, I don't want it to be posted. I don't want it to be
Yeah.
sold. You guys aren't getting your hands on it. Like, it's just one of these. It's going in a one touch and it's going in a box, and I don't want anyone to know I have it. Maybe they have that inside information. Maybe we'll never find out, but I do think that this is a negative for the hobby. That's my opinion on it. It would have been awesome to see in the news someone cashing in the lottery ticket of a hockey card that they found through a box, and people thinking, "Oh, well, I want to get into it. I want to learn now." It's just a really, really big missed opportunity.
No, it's true. It is when you look at it from that perspective, absolutely. But I don't blame David Adams. Like, there's no way that card was worth $1 million. Not even anywhere close to it. It never was. And now, like I was taking a look. I was curious what his cards were at now, and his PSA 10 Young Guns just continues to dip. Last sale, $803. It's about to dip below $800. Anthony, like
Cool.
the pop counts continue to grow. Like, we're looking at a PSA 10 pop count of 6,421. It's almost 1,000 more than the next highest populated card in hockey's existence. When it comes to PSA 10s, at the very least, it's insane. And there's a lot of nines, there's a lot of eights too that are coming out with these guys. So, PSA, they're starting to grade a little harder, which you found out, which we'll get
Oh,
to with
oh.
your grade submission in a little bit. But yeah, to me, I look at 2024 and I'll always think of Bedardapalooza. I mean, remember how insane the boxes were? Like, the price of the box, it was like $400 for a flagship series 2. And it's just a chance to get a Bedard. If you don't get a Bedsy, you got squat and you wasted $400 down the drain.
And
But it
they were
wasn't just
flying.
that. They were
They were
flying,
like,
dude. Cases were going. Like, it was insane. And it didn't stop at series 2. Like, you had, Black Diamond and obviously it's SPA and authentic artifacts, and like all this stuff were flying, and they're all very much inflated for 2024. So that's kind of what I'll always remember 2024 as, like Bedardapalooza gone wild. Which is interesting because toward the end of 2024, it did really cool off. And going into 25, there's not nearly as much hobby hype around Bedard as there was a year ago. So I think that's why, like, 2024 in itself really, really does for me paint the picture that it was all about Connor Bedard and Bedard only.
yeah, that's fair too. I'm gonna see if maybe next year, maybe this year could be the year of Celebrini too, because the way that he's playing compared to Bedard's play in his rookie season is very similar. I don't know if the hype is gonna be there. Maybe people are gonna start to learn, and obviously what's happening now with that massive peak that we hit with Bedard coming down to as low as we've ever been right now on January 3rd to start the year. Maybe people will start their learning their lesson, but we know how the hobby is. Once those new hot players start coming out, those boxes come out. Yeah, I'll rip one for $300. Oh, I didn't get one. Yeah, I'll buy another one. Oh, I didn't get one. Okay, yeah, sure. I'll just buy the raw for $500. Sure, let's do it. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, well, you moved ahead pretty quickly there, because I was going to ask, like, what you think is going to define 2025, and you think Celebrini is going to be the defining factor of 2025. Will he have that type of hype?
I think it will be up there. I think it will definitely be up there too. I was even going to put on a side note with 2024. Lane Hudson was a name that near the tail end of the year really started to drive the hobby. Like that last 3-4 months ish when he was really playing well. But I think that Celebrini will, especially being Canadian, be a needle mover for the hobby when his boxes come out. It's probably going to be a big discussion, maybe not as much as Connor Bedard's cards when they came out, how expensive those were, almost triple the price, I believe, of a regular Series 1 hobby box, which was ridiculous. But I do think that my prediction would be yes, Macklin Celebrini will be his year, the year of Macklin Celebrini.
I'm gonna take a look because Black Diamond came out today. We're recording
Right.
on Friday, and Black Diamond came out today. Curious if we got any sales yet of some Macklin Celebrini, because this is probably the first, high-ish end product that you can get some Macklin Celebrini in. And I don't see anything on eBay about the Celebrini products being sold quite yet. So possibly nothing yet. Celebrate. Maybe I'm spelling Celebrini wrong because there's like barely. Okay, there's a couple of things. That's Connor Bedard stuff.
Don't they usually do? Oh, they have, I was gonna say MVP is usually sold first, right? And
Yeah,
then
but high end product. We'll
yeah,
definitely come out and say that these are like the first high end products
yeah.
of it, because like I mean we're talking what's it, 500 $400 for a box of Black Diamond. You get 6 cards in the box, I believe it is. What is it? Yeah, 6 cards in a box, and you end up with 3 memorabilia cards or insert, 1 exquisite collection card. So exquisite cards are part of this, and then you get 1 autograph or diamond relic of some kind. So
Hmm.
you're going to be chasing for sure. I think Macklin Celebrini is the big chase for me, at least when it comes to the 24-25 rookie class. Obviously, Matvey Michkov would be part of the class as well. So there are a couple of guys, but I think, when it comes to the rookie class of 2025, certainly I'm with you. You're going to see a lot of love for Macklin Celebrini, and Cole Hudson will definitely be a little bit of a footnote. But I actually think that it's going to be one of the old heads who's going to define the card market in 2025. I think it's going to be Alex Ovechkin. Like,
Oh,
he kind of has already been doing that in the latter months of 2024. But this guy's only 24 goals away from reaching Wayne Gretzky's record. And I mean, the way that he's been playing, like, he's got what, 18 goals already? 18 goals in like 21, 22 games. Like, it's unbelievable. He's got 45 games to go and he only needs 24 more goals. He's certainly on pace this year to break that. Will that pace slow down? Possibly, but he came back from injury. He's got 3 goals in like 4 or 5 games since that time. So he's just picked up right where he left off. And look, he'll certainly do it in 2025, whether it's this season, specifically the 24-25 season, or it's the start of the 25-26 season. That record will be broken in the year 2025. And when that happens, I mean, this thing's going to explode. And it's already been exploding. Like, Ovechkin's market is on fire. It has been the last couple of months. As he gets closer and closer and closer, people continue to pick it up and they want to get in on the action. And, hype drives the hobby. A lot
yeah.
of hype right now when it comes to Ovechkin getting closer and closer to that Gretzky record. I think he's going to break it in the year 2025. And I think that we're going to see an explosion and that continual, gradual upward trajectory of his market. And it'll eventually, boom, burst when he breaks the record. And then probably simmer and come down a little bit and then kind of define itself at some point somewhere in the market. But I think we're going to see a steady climb for Ovechkin until that happens. And I think that's going to kind of end up being the story of the 2025 hockey card collecting world.
I would hope so too, because it feels like the past 2-3 months, Ovi's market's really climbed. That injury really hindered the massive increase that started pretty much the Saturday or Friday of the Sports Card Expo in November, because that's where things really started to pick up. And
Yeah.
we saw Young Guns Raw go all the way from around 1,100 to 16, 17, $1,800. Now you can't even touch them for under $1,500, which I just find ridiculous considering you could find them anywhere for $1,000 usually on a good day at a card show. But something I found very interesting, I was sifting through FanDuel, and we are not a sponsored podcast by FanDuel. But if you're a representative and you're listening right now, hey, hit us up. You know where to contact us. But I did see an interesting bet, and I want to see your opinion. You obviously know how the odds works, and I hope that our listeners do. But FanDuel has Ovechkin to break the record this season at plus 150. So Ovi to break the record this season plus 150. That has him to not break the record at minus 200, which I've found very interesting because I think it's almost a lock that he's going to break it this season. I
I
thought plus
don't
150 is very generous.
I wouldn't go as far as say a lock. At some point, like the shooting percentage bender could come back and he could get very close, right? He could get close and he could get injured. There's a lot of factors that could come into play. I would not consider it a lock. But I do think that like plus 150 is not that's pretty good odds. Minus 200 would not be good enough odds for me to bet against Ovechkin.
Yeah.
That I could tell you. So if I had to pick one, I probably would take the plus 150 and
Yeah.
hope that I can get, 1.5 times my bet on that one. But yeah, I do think he does it, but I'm not going to go as far and call it a lock. But certainly he'll do it in the year 2025. That I am quite certain of, Anthony. All right. Let's get to the 3 stars of the month. We started doing this a couple of months ago where when the NHL releases their 3 stars, we'll take a look at what their card market has done over the course of the month. And we've got 3 guys who got nominated this year or in the month of December by the NHL. Nathan McKinnon was the first star. Leon Draisaitl was the second star. And then Jacob Markstrom, the goaltender for the New Jersey Devils, a third star. And we'll start there because that's a little interesting market for Markstrom because he's one of the few players that actually does not own a Young Guns. There's an interesting situation that happened in like 2012, like between 2011 and 2013. There are some players that for some reason just did not end up getting any Young Guns for whatever reason. I know my boy Frankie Corrado's in the same boat. He doesn't have a Young Guns. His rookie season was, I think, the 11-12 or 12-13 year. And he ends up getting in the 13-14 dual rookie season after the lockout, but didn't get a Young Guns for whatever reason. He's in a bunch of products. He's in a lot of Panini products also, funny enough. And he's got, like some other stuff, but does not, for whatever reason, have a Young Guns. And Jacob Markstrom is also in that same boat. But he does have other rookie cards that you get. Obviously, he's got a Future Watch auto out of SP Authentic. And, a latest sale of that, $100 Canadian. And another sale, he's got a cup RPA, and this one seems cheap. December 30th, there's a sale for $130 for a Jacob Markstrom Cup RPA. It seems very cheap to me.
And I saw it too. So for that sale, the patch was just unreal. And sometimes if you could buy a premium patch on the cup card, it really drives up the price. It's definitely worth it. And I thought that was really, really cheap, especially considering it's hard to find those exact investment cards when you're looking at low end, rookie cards like Jacob Markstrom might only have. I saw his marquee rookie, things like that maybe you see pop up all the time. But when you have a player that has no Young Gun, no market almost to kind of compare to other players, because it's very tough to compare Future Watch and the cup cards in different years. And sure, you could kind of get an idea of what their market looks like, but we always discuss Young Guns because that's kind of the clear cut barrier for the difference in price. And for Jacob Markstrom, $130. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think I don't know, a Dustin Wolf Future Watch goes for what, $200 maybe, if we were to double check that. And for Jacob Markstrom's at the cup rookie patch auto to go for almost half of that is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. But yeah, so there's your third star. He had a 130 goals against average, 2 shutouts, and he won 8 of the 10 starts that he made in the month of December, earning himself third star of the week. Second star of the week was Leon Draisaitl, the guy who I know will score more goals than Sam Reinhart and currently has more goals than Sammy Reinhart, Mr. Anthony Santini. I don't know if you want to make a comment on that, although facts are facts, and he definitely has and will continue to score more goals than Reinhart. He had 10 of them in the month of December alone. 10 goals, 14 assists for 24 points in 13 games. And you look at his young guns, and they've increased by 10% over the course of the month of December when he was on his hot streak here, and now averaging around $800 Canadian for Leon Draisaitl PSA 10s.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking very tough for me right now because we did bet. I did bet against Leon Draisaitl for Sam Reinhart to have more goals. I'm gonna see though because Reinhardt's unfortunately had a 4 or 5 game skid with no points, and actually twice I believe the Panthers were shut out. So it's just been a little bit of a bad turn into 2025. But hey, I'm still feeling confident. I would almost double down, but I'm not gonna do it just because I have too many of these. Reinhart versus Draisaitl bets right now with a couple buddies. But like you said, 10 goals this month. The Oilers have just been on fire offensively. That Bush, McDavid, and Draisaitl trio is always clicking. And I feel like that's really going to be what helps Leon push Reinhart over in goals when it really comes down to it at the end of the year. But even Draisaitl's still a player with his market right now. Like you mentioned, 10% increase over this past month with a great December to end the year, averaging around $800 in a Young Guns PSA 10, I still think is fairly cheap considering you don't see his PSA 10s pop up all the time, and he
Yeah.
is a top 5 player in the league for sure, I would think.
Yeah, he's a 14, 15 young gun. So it's same as David Pasternak and Andrei Vasilevsky and Bo Horvat, Sam Reinhart. Actually, they do have the exact same
Right.
young guns class as well. And not that it's like super short printed, but I do know that 14, 15 is shorter printed than like 15, 16, we'll say, or 16, 17. So that is another reason as to why like Pasternak and Draisaitl and like why those actually do sell for a little bit more. Johnny Gaudreau also part of that Young Guns class as well. But the number one star of the month of December for the NHL was Nathan MacKinnon, the great Nate. Ended up with 25 points in 13 games. Interestingly enough, though, saw a tiny decrease in his PSA 10 prices. And I think that has more to do with the fact that the market takes a slowdown in December, not so much that MacKinnon himself, but the entire market was down throughout December, people spending and focusing money on Christmas gifts and whatnot. But you still look and it's still a card that's worth over $800. Average sale of $830. But if you look at more than a month, you look at the 90-day history, this card's up, 10, 15%. I remember buying PSA 10 MacKinnon at Expo. I think I paid $650 for it. So,
Nice.
so to be up to 830, I mean, we're in a good spot now. Now I got it under comps at that point, but I think we're in a good spot. But the fun thing about Nathan MacKinnon's Young Guns, and this is something for people to always keep in mind when you see them out there, there's kind of two versions. There's like two and a half versions, we'll say. But you'll often, if you run into a Nathan MacKinnon's Young Gun, you will notice one has pink on the front on the surface. It was a print defect, and it's on a lot of them. And it has pink on them. Some people say, similar to the Gretzky blue line, that was the first print, I guess, has the pink, and then they corrected it with the no pink after. So the no pink version is typically the one that people like better because it's the more, I don't know, it's defect less, I guess, is the for lack of a better word. It doesn't have the pink. It's not imperfect in that way. But yeah, there are two technically different kinds of Nathan MacKinnon Young Guns. It looks the same, you would think, but there are a slight difference where there is one pink and one has no pink across the kind of chest arm area of Nathan MacKinnon. But yeah, he was the NHL's first star of the month. Um, you kind of teased it a little bit, Anthony. You were talking about new year, new me, and what your card collecting goals were going to be in 2025. And you were talking about how you wanted to do, some more story sales and IG lives and whatnot. Is there anything else that you would consider a card collecting or card investing resolution in 2025?
I think the number one thing that I was looking at, and I actually wanted to tell this story on the pod to kind of explain the rationale for it. So, one thing I really want to focus on, and we talked about it maybe 2 to 3 episodes ago, and that was focusing on the relationships rather than the monetary, the money value that comes from, going to shows, selling cards, all this stuff. I think that when you are able to bring a positive aspect to the hobby, people will appreciate that. You'll be able to get more trades done, more deals done, and really enjoy going to shows more. So I think that's one thing that I really want to focus on in 2025 is going to shows, building relationships, being reputable amongst hockey card collectors and people within the hobby that they could say, "Oh yeah, that maybe two friends send my story sale to each other and they say, "Oh, is this guy good to go? Like, is he good to ship? Cards, damage, anything of that nature." At least they can understand that, oh, yeah, I've done deals with him before. He's all good. He's fair, this and that, negotiable. I think that's one thing I really want to focus. And a situation that actually occurred last week was a deal that got done. And this took about 2 months with the strike happening. It was a little bit tough because I couldn't ship out anything. We weren't able to meet up. Finally, when the strike was over, I was able to get the money received, and I took a little bit longer with the shipment than I wanted to. It took me about over a week and a half, just got busy with work. And I said, you know what? I just sent the guy $10 back. And I said, look, I apologize for the delay. Here's your $10 back. I'm going to ship it out for free. And it might cost me a little bit, but you know what? At least I can say, all right, well, I was a little bit late. That's totally my fault. Let me ship this out for free for the inconvenience. And I think that's something that I want to look at in the future more because I could rather just, keep that 5, $10 and say, oh, I made $10, but how much can I lose in the future by maybe pissing off that person that I was getting a deal done? Maybe they won't say anything, but just not being open to do deals in the future just because I was late with shipment. So that's something I really want to focus on in the year 2025 for sure.
Yeah, I think relationship building is always going to be good. And it's always, something that I believe is super important because your reputation means a lot in this hobby. So being able to have that good reputation is certainly good to have. Like I was in a situation, like I brought it up on the podcast, where, I had asked the guy, he did a story sale, and I bought some cards, and then he said, okay, here's the price. I paid him, and then he said, "Okay, I'm gonna ship after the strike." After I paid him, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I waited and waited. The strike kept going on. Eventually, I'm just like, "Hey, can you just maybe refund my money, and then I can get these later on?" And it took him forever. He always had an excuse, and then eventually, I just said I got annoyed and by the seller, and I was like, "Hey, I would really feel just more comfortable if I just had this." Money back and it's not tied up in things that it's just not coming because he was unwilling to spend the extra $10 and just FedEx it. And it was like this was like $200 deal. It's not like it was a $5 card
Yeah.
or anything. So it just did rub me the wrong way. And I'm reluctant to do deals with this individual now after that. So totally. Your reputation means a lot in this community. That's for certain. For me, I think, obviously I think I want to grow this podcast. That's something that I'd love to do in 2025. That's not really like a hockey card goal, but it is, a community goal where I want to kind of help grow this podcast, with the help of Slab Sharks, now on board. Hopefully we can, do some good things together with them and grow this thing. Everyone listening, hopefully, are enjoying things, and we can get this pod being bigger and better than ever. So that'd be great for 2025 to see the good growth within the podcast. But I think when it comes to my card collecting or investing goals, I still believe that I want to, and I said this last year, and I did a little bit better with it, but I've got to be better at selling online. I do need to be better at that because I rely a lot on the shows, and I do well when I set up at shows, usually a couple of times a month to set up as a dealer, and it's a good way to move my inventory. But I have so many like low level singles that it's stuff that would move pretty good, whether it's on eBay or it's on Facebook Marketplace or Instagram story sales. There's more opportunity out there for me and for anyone who wants to take the opportunity to sell cards. There's a lot of avenues that you can use, and I hope in 2025 that I take advantage, use those avenues, and start moving out more cards at a higher volume. Not necessarily higher money, higher dollar wise, although that would be very lucrative and nice to do. But definitely, I want to move out more volume in the year 2025. That's kind of going to be a goal of mine. So I'll be utilizing a lot of the online platforms to try and sell and trade. Also, obviously, always loving to trade some cards away and improve my collection that way. But yeah, that's pretty well going to be my 2025 goal, my resolution going into the next year.
Nice.
All right, Anthony. When did you submit? So you have a 31 card PSA submission that you just got back, and it doesn't seem like it went well based on your reaction. When did you submit these?
So these cards were submitted first of all, and this is like I've just been kind of holding on to this because I wanted to get your reaction as I went through. Usually, the way that I am, I'm pretty decent with looking at cards and guessing grades, but I have been skunked, if you will, a couple times with grades, and things just happen. You win some, you lose some. It does just happen. At the Expo, I had a really bad sub sending that Connor McDavid in. That was just brutal. Really kind of put me in the dumps for the next like hour. That was a little bit of a waste of money, but
But did it come back like a 6 or something?
no, I think it was a 8. I think it was the
Yeah.
McDavid Young Guns. I came back a PSA 8. I did on-site grading, which was very tough. I was not happy. I did not want to eat lunch after that. I was rattled. Either way, I shipped these cards out, I believe October 1st. So this was for the 1980, October 1980 to present bulk special service. And for anyone that does submit cards by themselves, you understand that the specials, the monthly specials, do take a lot longer than normal. However, this submission just took forever. It took about an extra month and a half than it usually does. So I was already a little bit ticked off with that. There was some players in here that were really starting to heat up that I was just kind of waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And I was like, what in the heck is going on with this submission? This is just brutal. So I'm going to start pulling up here and we'll go card by card and kind of give you a quick explanation of each card quickly. But I think that you'll get a really good idea of where I'm coming from here because this was a very, very anticlimactic. I got the email and I was like, all right, let's go. I called my girlfriend. I was like, all right, like my cards are coming in. I got to take a look. All right, cool. And it was very anticlimactic. So let me just pull this up here and we're going to go to my order. And you should have it all good to go here if you want to pull it up. All right, here we go. So let me control this. Can you still see? All good?
Yep.
All right, cool. So we're going to start off. I was looking at a Braden Point Young Guns PSA 9. You could see it all good. We're good here?
Yeah. I'm just gonna give me one sec. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
cool. Adjust it, whatever you think, because I just got it blocked out now.
We're good.
All right, so I started off. I was okay with this. I was thinking, all right, Braden Point 9. I mean, he is playing well. We'll take it. We'll take it. And then, Mike, if you want, I can't really see you, but just kind of you could topple over me here if you want to talk about any card, but I'll just keep going. Next up, I got a Tim Stutzel Young Gun PSA 10. Started off the season pretty good. He's playing pretty well, and I've already had a couple stacked up, so I was happy with this. 2 cards in, I was thinking, all right, usual thing, couple 9s, mostly 10s. Let's just keep going here. Then the big boys came up. Nathan McKinnon, Young Guns PSA 9. Really thought this thing was going to 10.
No
Really
pink.
thought it was going to 10. No pink, too.
It's a no pink version.
And I
show,
really
show where the no pink would be. Show where the pink would be.
So the pink would be here. The pink would be right here, if anything. There would be, like, almost like a big slash of pink coming across from
Yeah.
the shoulder downwards towards the glove. That's kinda the area where the pink would be. I was really confused why this didn't get a 9 until I flipped it over, and it does look a little bit right to left, almost like it's going more to the right side. I
Yeah.
guess the centering really was the reasoning behind it, but that was very tough. So I was thinking, all right, I got a dry settle Young Guns coming up next. This one has to get a 10.
I don't
Came
have
back
to
a
get
9.
it don't have to get nothing, pal. It
Yeah,
don't have to get nothing.
I mean, I thought I was due. I thought I was due, and I was definitely not due. This one got a 9. I thought that would have been big in a 10. I got this for a good deal. I thought those were, these were the 2 cards that I needed to get 10s. That's for sure,
Yeah.
because those kinda change your submission, right? So, that was tough. Next up, had a Tim Thomas Young Guns that we talked about a couple episodes
Oh.
ago. This got a PSA 10, which was huge. I actually bought this card for $10, and we talked about it. I bought it for $10 for my own personal collection, and I found out that they go for around $300 to $350 in a PSA 10, which was crazy surprising. I was really surprised to see that sell that high.
Well, I think it's just like there's just not a lot of them. It's a very, very I'd say again, another one that's like shorter printed than other years. So like that year, it's at 2002, 2003 Young Guns year. Like there's just and Tim Thomas, I mean, there's a big segment of Boston fan base that probably PCs him, but I'd imagine it's not a very high pop count either, which is another thing that will go into it.
I don't believe so. I'm a big Tim Thomas fan, so this was definitely for my PC, and then I decided, you know what, I'll grade it. I'm still kinda torn right now if I wanna keep it or sell it. I think with
Pop
how the sub went, I'll
pop
probably sell it.
Pop 74 PSA 10.
74, okay. I mean, that's pretty low. I mean, that's one of those cards that you submit 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10 times, and maybe it comes back a 10 once. I mean, there also is probably not a lot of people finding mint Tim Thomas Young Guns that they wanna grade, but I'm a
Yeah.
big fan, and I got the Tim Thomas back there. I don't know, we're probably not zoomed in enough, but I got a Tim Thomas frame that, I got when I was a kid, so I'm a big fan of him. This will probably end up in my PC, but we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, moving on here, and I am like totally unmotivated
Ooh.
to talk about this sub because this is just getting more brutal. I got a Jake Sanderson exclusives. I got this at the CSC show in early September. Got this for a really good deal before he started an amazing season. Like that was another player that I said, like, come on, this sub needs to come back because this guy's really heating up. He started off the year really well.
Yeah,
This came back
defenseman in Ottawa.
like
It's a tough market though.
I know, but it was just one of those cards where I was thinking, all right, this could be a big card, like $500-600 if it comes back in a PSA 10 with the way his market was going. This comes back in 8, borderline not even more valuable than a raw. So very disappointed with this one. That was brutal. Next up, 2 back-to-back Tom Wilson Young Guns. Actually bought both for, I believe, $10. So it was $5 a piece. And I know that the percentages on these Tom Wilson Young Guns are pretty good. So I mean, happy is an understatement because I really needed these to come back
Right.
10, or else they're borderline, you're just losing money. So these Tom Wilson cards with the, you know,
I I
touch-
depending on where you get like how much you're able to get the cards at, like sometimes it unless you get a 10, you're literally always losing money. Where
no,
it's
it's
like
true.
Like, legitimately, like, you get PSA 9, I mean, if you bought it raw for 50, let's say, and you get a PSA 9, maybe it might be worth 80 and a 9, if not, maybe only like
Maybe,
60 bucks a lot of
maybe.
the time. So, a lot of time, you're shooting for the 10. That's why grading is a bit of a gamble, to grade, but, when it works out, it can work out really, really well.
And we've had, subs where it does work out. This definitely was not one of them, and
No.
we'll get into, when
Well,
you
let's get to some of the cards that, like, really annoy. I'm looking at a
all right.
5 right here.
Oh,
What's
man.
this 5 all about?
Oh, man. All
Now,
right.
a Rossi 9, I don't care, but I do see a 5. How the hell did you get a PSA 5 on something?
I don't even know how this happened. I don't know what it is with the card because funny thing is I do collect a lot of Marco Rossi, and basically what I did when Joel Eriksson Ek got pushed down to the second line around October, I said, you know what? It's the perfect time to sell or submit Marco Rossi. And I picked up of my pile of like 60 Marco Rossi cards, picked up, I believe it's 5 of my best. So these are 5 of my mintiest Marco Rossi Young Guns that I own. This is the most annoying part about it. This one gets a 5. That one gets a
That
9.
go show me the 5. That is insane top bottom though.
What do you mean?
Top bottom, like centering top to bottom. That is very, very top. Like even go to the back. Look how high that is
Yeah,
compared
it's
to the
high,
bottom.
but it's not that bad. It's not a 5.
Well, no, I mean, there's got to be some sort of surface damage that you didn't see. Like, there's got to
It's very
be
possible.
something like that's the only way you get 5s in modern day cards.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this was a very big, like, blow. This was a very big blow. I think when I got to this card, I knew that the remainder of the sub was gonna be just as bad, and I'll get into that, but we got another PSA 9, another PSA 8, and then I was like, "Alright, got my Dylan Gunther still waiting for me. Here we
Ooh.
go." PSA 7 on the Dylan Gunther. I just was thinking, like, how is this possible? How? And I'm not tooting my own horn, but I can kind of have a decent eye for cards and grading. I've been doing it for about 2 years now. I wouldn't say I'm an expert or anything like that, but I definitely feel more confident than the average person in the hobby to look at a card really well, too. Like, you got to remember, I bring these cards home and I look at them and I sift through them, right? So I got a 7. I got another 7.
Oh
I
my
got a
god.
9. And I got another 7.
Oh god. Jeez
So
Louise. You
just
suck. You suck.
just
God.
absolutely
You should
brutal.
you should stop sending in cards, man. Like,
Yeah,
you clearly don't. You lost your eye, brother.
I
You
mean,
lost your eye.
I don't know what it
What
is.
1 5, 1 7 per sub, okay, I can see. You got, like, 5, 7 or lowers, which
Yeah,
is
I don't get it.
insane for a submission. You
I
suck. You're
no.
terrible. You got no eye. That's it.
No, I it's never been this. This is for sure my worst submission. I don't know what the heck happened here. But then Dylan Strome, Future Watch PSA 10, pretty happy with this. Obviously been on absolute fire. I kind of knew this card was going to 10, but meanwhile, I really thought everything else was going to 10. Whatever. Alexander Barkov got a PSA 9 on the Future Watch. I mean, I'll take it,
Nice.
I guess, but that would have been big to get a 10. I mean, I'll take it. 9 on here. Like, this stuff is just like 8.
Oh, you decided to grade those,
Like,
eh?
what are we doing? And
I
then
thought
I
you
got
were going
a
for the rainbow. You got
I
a
was
10.
thinking about it, but I just got a little bit too cocky. I was gonna try and go for the rainbow PSA 10, but I got
Guy.
way too cocky. Way
Got
too cocky
1.
here.
You got 1.
I mean, I guess it's just it's very annoying. Oh, next up, these are actually some pretty interesting cards before we wrap up here. The rookie showdowns, which these are very hard to get a PSA 10 and actually valuable in a PSA 8 still. You could still make money if these are graded a PSA 8, which is very interesting. So I got an 8. I got 2 10s, which almost triple or quadruple your money, which is really good for these cards. Very hard to get a 10.
You know what's funny about that? So I remember back in 05, 06, I literally pulled this was like a redemption, like a mail-in redemption that you got out of I don't know, Victory, MVP, whichever one it was. I think it's Victory. And you literally like would mail it into Upper Deck and or email them or whatever it was, and they would mail it back to you in like a pack of like 3 cards, and it was in one of those cards. And I remember doing that back in the day. It's kind of funny now how it's like, a decently highly sought after card. It's like a rookie card of
Yeah.
um, both Ovechkin and Crosby. And if you tilt it, it's got like the motion where you tilt it one way and it's Crosby, tilt it the other way and it's Ovechkin. It's a really cool card.
It's one of my favorite cards. I think definitely one of the cards that I think 5-10 years down the road is going to be pretty, maybe not valuable, but pretty sought after. So
Mhm.
grading these are always a play for me. I'll probably continue to do that. Next up, I graded these rookie classes, which really good percentages on these.
Ooh.
I was pretty happy to get this and a 10. Usually I don't do too well with the rookie classes. This one got an 8, so kind of evens it out a little bit, but I'll take it. And then the last 3 cards were actually for a friend, which he
Oh,
graded a Charizard 2000, got a PSA 6, which isn't as bad as
okay.
Pokemon, but I mean, I think he was hoping for an 8. I think that was the goal, and a 6 definitely didn't help. And next up, even worse,
Oh my.
Silver Prism Shy got a PSA 6. So this was just one of those days where, Grader had a bad day, maybe had a bad night.
Dude,
No
he was going
idea.
through he slept on the couch the night before going through a divorce. Like, that's the only explanation for this submission. Only
I don't know.
explanation.
And the very last card, actually, funny story. One of my good buddies, shout out Aiden Thompson, a couple episodes ago, I showed him out because of his mustache. Movember, he was doing the donation. Walked up to me in class. He was like, "Hey, pulled this card in a pack at Walmart. Can you grade it for me?" And I was like,
Sick.
"Yeah, but like, can you, do you have expectations?" He was like, "Let's just see how low we could go." So he kind of had the opposite mentality where I was looking for PSA 10s. He wanted to go as low as possible, and he actually got the PSA 10. So maybe for
What a shame.
2025, that should be the mentality. But that's my sub. It was brutal, and I hope the last 10 minutes my voice kind of reflected that because I'm just absolutely drained by that. That was brutal.
Oh, yeah,
Brutal.
not a good situation there, Ant. That was a lot of bad submissioning by you, brother. You gotta be better. Gotta be better in 2025. Gotta be better. I haven't got my sub back yet from Expo. I ended up leaving some cards with our boy Kevin Douglas at PSA 10, PSA Canada. I think I got 6 cards or so I'm still waiting on those to come back. While you were doing that, I checked to see where they were at. They're in the grading process. So, we'll see. It's supposed to be back like mid-January. I don't
Oh,
know.
look at this nice
We'll see.
little actually, what's it called? I got a notification. I know you're looking at the Macklin Celebrini here. Jewels of the Draft was pulled, and a very nice
Nice.
looking card here for all our YouTube watchers. Pretty nice autograph. What do we think about that?
It's just squiggles. I
I know
mean,
it's nothing
I don't know.
crazy, but yeah, there it is,
I
Black
don't see
Diamond.
an M. I don't see, I guess, the C. I mean, I don't know. Like the kids these days, they don't know how to sign anything, man. Like they just,
I have a terrible autograph too, so I
yeah.
totally get it.
Nah, it's brutal. I would imagine that over the next couple of weeks, though, we'll probably see a lot of Macklin Celebrini popping up on Slab Sharks. I would think the number one sports consignment company in Canada have got thousands of listings each and every week, including this week and this past week. And what we like to do here on the show is take a look at some of the cool cards that are up for grabs in the upcoming auction. That's the word I was looking for. There you go. Attaboy, Mike. And here's Anthony's favorite card that he saw. So why don't you tell us a little bit about this McDavid Crosby Cup auto that we're taking a look at here.
Yeah, this was definitely one of the cards that I mean, usually we do like a double. You have your pick, I have my pick, but I think for this week we both had to agree that this was one of the craziest cards that we're going to see in auction on Slab Shark. So we really want to put an emphasis on a card just as big as a McDavid Crosby on card auto, the cup. Graded. I know it's the 7. I know it's a 7. I totally understand for all those, PSA 10 seekers out there. But for a thick card, auto 10, I've seen this card up and about in the expo online, and I've never seen it for sale. This is the first time I've ever seen it for sale. Out of 10, just a ridiculous card. And I think you had to agree too, because this definitely 1,000% puts a massive explanation mark on 2025 to start the year. One of the first auctions actually for Slab Sharks this year. So an amazing card. I mean, you can't really hype this up anymore. This is just an absolute grail.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, this card is unbelievable.
Your mic just muted here. You just muted out a little bit. It's all good. I think it's just
Keep talking. Keep talking.
I threw you a life raft there. I mean,
You gotta learn to keep talking. That's you gotta learn. 2025, Anthony. When the pod goes silent, when my mic goes all array, pick it up, pick up the pace, and we keep talking.
Hey, I think
Silence is a killer.
the card took your breath away. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what happened. It's not the stupid microphone cord that if you blow on it, gets loose and shuts off the mic. That's what ends up happening with this thing. So, but yeah, no, this is an absolutely beautiful card. I mean, rarely do you see two goats on a card like this signed, McDavid, Crosby, and like again, look at Crosby's autograph compared to McDavid's, and then the Celebrini one we saw. Like it's just night and day. So much better of an autograph. It's absolutely outstanding stuff. But this is a beautiful card, 100%, and it's already up to $4,000, 23 bids. So there's some time to go out and get it. I think it ends next Thursday.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's already up to 4K, and there's still a little more than a little less than a week to go until the auction. All the Slab Sharks auctions will come to an end for this cycle next Thursday. You can actually get in on the action too if you guys want to get in on and start subbing your cards with Slab Sharks, the number one consignment company in Canada. We'll put a link down below and we can help you get started with that process. If you want to move cards, that's another great way to move cards. Talked about, in 2025 using new avenues to try and move some stuff. Slab Sharks is a company that I'm going to start using more and more here in 2025 to move some of my, mid to higher end stuff. Anything that's, a couple $100 or more, I think it works best with Slab Sharks. They got really good payout rates as well. You can find all those details in the show notes down below. All right. Did you get any pickups? I honestly didn't pick anything up this week because I've been just locked into family mode, into Christmas, and I really haven't picked much up.
Yeah, I didn't even really bother kind of looking at cards too much this week. I know we took last week off for Christmas, which was nice to kind of mellow out, chill. Actually got busy with the Spengler Cup, caught up with you at the studio there in Markham, so that was nice. But yeah, I mean, tomorrow's going to be my first card show in a couple weeks. Or from the past couple weeks, I guess. It is the TNT trade show in Brampton. Should be fun, actually. Myself and Brandon, Al's cousin, as we like to call him, will be set up
Producer Al's
right
cousin.
next. Yeah, producer Al's cousin. Shout out. He will be set up right beside me. Eric will be walking around, and we should get a couple good pickups. Hopefully, sell or trade a little bit more out than we have coming in. But you know how it goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on vacation for the next week. I'm
Oh,
hitting the 7 Seas. It's a cruise for me for the next week, so I will be carted out. I will be cruising instead. I'll still be dealing in the card business. It's more so of the blackjack variety over the next
wow. There
week.
we go. All right.
Oh yeah,
So
oh yeah,
16 against a 10. You hitting or staying?
all day it's a hit, brother.
Just
All
making
day.
sure. I had a couple buddies on New Year's Eve that were saying it's a stay. Just making sure.
Well, those guys clearly lose their money whenever they go to the casino. That's for
And they
dang
did.
sure.
And they
There you
did.
go. Exactly. All right, that'll do it for us here today on the podcast. I'd like to thank you all for listening and supporting the show. You can subscribe right here on YouTube, and you can also subscribe to us if you're an on-the-go listener on Spotify. In 2025, we will be on Apple as well, Apple Podcast as well. So I'll let you know when we get that cooking. We'll be back with another episode next week. Thank you so much. You've been listening to the Hockey Card Haven podcast.